Now, this is Mission Control. It's also the control room. This is TV production in the heat of battle, and this can get pretty crazy in here, but that's all natural. What is not natural about what's going on tonight is the fact that James Cameron is broadcasting live for the first time ever, almost 2.5 miles straight down from the Titanic. So let's check in with him right now. James Cameron, you just made history, sir. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, John. Wasn't easy getting here, but we did it, and we're connected, and we're feeding a signal to you from 12,500 feet. Now that means that there's 12,500 feet of water over our heads, and that water is creating an awful lot of pressure on the steel sphere that we're sitting inside. I'm sitting here with Mike Arbuthnot, our archaeologist, and Anatoly Sagalevich, Dr. Sagalevich, and Anatoly invented the Mir submersible that we're sitting inside. What do you think, Anatoly? We're going to be okay?
Oh, yes, it's beautiful. I think one of the best around the world.
I agree. I agree 100%. Now, just so you don't think I'm sitting here playing Halo 2 at the bottom of the ocean, I'm actually flying a remotely operated vehicle whose name is Gilligan. And this is Gilligan. I don't know if you can see him there. He's the green sort of toaster on steroids. And he's actually a pretty small bot called an X-bot. And I'm going to come around and show you our submersible that we're sitting in. Oh, let me give you where we are. This is the forward well deck of Titanic. And you can see there that kind of tubular object is the mast, which collapsed during the sinking back in 1912 on April 15th as the ship broke up near the surface. And just around here to the left, down below, we've got a hatch that goes down several decks. That's the bunker hatch, or hatch 3. We've got some deck winches over here, and we've got the electric cranes, and you can see the railing up there. That's at the B deck level, up above. So we're forward of the bridge right now on Titanic, and we're just sitting right on the deck with our submersible. I'll come around and give you a look at where we are. And this is, oh, you can see up above that light. That's Mir 1 up there. They're doing lighting for us right now, so you'll see something. Because this deep down, there is no light whatsoever unless we bring it ourselves. So here's where we're sitting. Here's where the Mir 2 crew are sitting right now. And you can see that it's a deep ocean submersible. It's just bristling with cameras and lights and hydraulic booms and manipulators. It's quite a machine. I'm going to come over here and give you a little closer look at the Mir. It's an amazing diving machine. It can go to 20,000 feet. And Anatoly did a fantastic job, and his team designing it and supporting us on this expedition, because we're doing some very unusual things. If you look down here on the left, that green bot there, that's Elwood. He's a veteran Titanic explorer, and he's going to be coming out with us later to do some exploring around the wreck. And we have another X-bot over here in the garage, and you can see the empty garage where Gilligan came from a few minutes ago. I'm going to fly a little closer to the Mir, and maybe we can take a look at ourselves inside, and we'll see ourselves inside. And that's what happens, is you get this strange sense of being in two places at once when you're flying an ROV. I know I'm inside the sub, but I also feel like I'm inside the vehicle. Should be able to see ourselves. So turn around, Mike, and wave to Gilligan. Hey.
Hello from the bottom of the sea.
And that's us inside there. Okay. Well, I'm going to get on with the job of exploration here. That's what we came here for.
Well, Jim, never let it be said that you don't perform well under pressure. A lot of pressure. Very well done, sir.
About 5,500 pounds per square inch of pressure, to say nothing of the pressure of doing live television.
Well, it looks great. Get into position, and we'll check in with you a little bit later on.
Awesome. We'll be here all week.
Now, for you folks at home, doing something like this, an exploration this complicated, is not just a linear process. It is filled with twists and turns and a lot of unpredictability. To get us here was quite a journey. We thought you might want to see what it was like for us the past 3 weeks.
This is Jim Cameron's 35th dive to the Titanic. For this and every dive, he's gotten there on one of the Russian Mir subs, among the world's deepest diving manned submersibles. This time, it's different. Because for the first time ever, the Mir is linked to the surface by a fiber optic cable. That cable is how we're bringing you this special broadcast. The descent takes more than 2 hours. Most Mir drops are for sleep. Not this one. The cable is a constant worry. It is among the most dangerous parts of the entire mission. If the cable breaks, it could tangle in the sub and take it to the bottom. Jim descends with archaeologist Mike Arbuthnot. His mission is to help Jim get video images for the historic record. I spoke with him before the dive.
Titanic is going away. It's corroding as a result of Mother Nature. So we want to get in there and take a look at what is contained within Titanic before she's lost forever.
Emily Jadif is another archaeologist brought along for the mission.
Well, we're going to try and do a survey of unexplored portions of Titanic.
Laurie Johnston and Roy Cullimar, experts on the bacteria that is destroying Titanic.
At the bottom, and the rest is an iron ore deposit.
Ken Marshall has been studying Titanic's structure for 40 years. He will help guide Jim through the maze.
Corridor light fixture on Jim's way aft to the first-class lounge.
Don Lynch is a historian who knows the personal stories of the Titanic passengers.
You know, Colonel Gracie is there, who was like everywhere throughout the whole sinking. I mean, he was heroic in that way. I mean, he one of those personalities a lot of people didn't like, but he was everywhere at once and making sure every woman he saw got into a lifeboat.
Park Stevenson is an engineer who helps visualize Titanic's interiors.
Well, the Marconi apparatus was the ship's means of talking to the outside world. Right up on me.
He's got the experts, the technology, and one of the most experienced deep submersible crews in the world. Bits of the technology were developed separately for 9 months before the expedition began, but it wasn't until 3 weeks ago that Jim and his team could finally assemble and test the system with the Keldish's Mir submersibles. No one knew whether it would work. The first thing was to get down to the wreck and test the communications. It's a 2.5-hour descent that Jim has done many times, but never with a 15,000-foot tether of fiber optic cable. The cable from the sub joins one of the ship's inflatable boats, or ribs. The rib keeps aligned with the Keldysh and allows sound and picture to be transmitted back to mission control. To get those pictures back from inside the Titanic, there are 3 separate links which all have to function at the same time. It's a fantastic technical achievement. The piece that had never fully been tested before is the fiber optic link from submersible to surface. Making this work was an incredibly delicate operation and risky. The fragile optic fiber is wrapped in a casing with a 500-pound breaking strain. It was a double-edged sword. The cable was weak enough to snap easily if the 18-ton submersible jerks when taut. It was strong enough to completely foul up the submersible's propulsion system and long enough to get impossibly tangled if it was let out too quickly. During one of the practice dives, 6,000 feet below the surface, the worst happened.
I believe we're fouled, guys. The cable looks like it's going up, but it could be looping over us like this. It's hard to say. We should be paying out by now, but we're not. This is not a good condition, Tolia. I think we made a mistake. I think it's bad.
They were no longer worried about getting pictures back, but dealing with a potentially dangerous situation for the Mir team.
A loop came around the tail fin of the Mir, as caught. Now the cable won't necessarily break. This is the dangerous part of this. It has a steel strength member. What happens if it bends, though, it'll attenuate the signal. So you lose communications, you lose video signal, but you're still hooked.
Mission control, anybody? Mission control.
We've got to monitor this closely. As they're starting their ascent back to the surface, we've got to madly take in cable to try and keep the whole thing from fouling the sub and potentially doing something even worse.
The only thing the submersible could do was dump ballast and head for the surface. The challenge of trying to get real-time pictures from the wreck of the Titanic had just become abundantly clear to James Cameron.
Well, we sort of made TV history up to a point, right up to the point that it went, and we got a loop over us somehow. I saw it on the tail camera, I saw it coming down. We tried to get out of the way, and I literally watched it come down, come right past the wing, and hook under the wing. Oh, we're screwed.
The team also had problems with the ship's satellite communications. A parts failure meant that all satellite systems were down. Being 350 miles out to sea and beyond helicopter range, there was only one solution. If this can happen in 2005, it's a stark reminder of the desperate situation Titanic was in nearly a century ago, when communication was with a Morse code transmitter.
Water. The card is dry, so that's good. It's a good sign so far.
Communication problems don't stop diving operations. During this two-leg, three-week expedition, Cameron had to make use of every precious minute underwater with the Mears.
Now, this was the scene earlier today.